Hello everyone and welcome back. I am spending some time in the rapid pool today. I just lost 2,500 to someone I have some suspicions about, but decided not to make those suspicions too public. And we'll just take it fresh from a new game. Playing Serious Chest, who has a very reasonable rating distribution. And we get an exchange Caro with Bishop D3. Okay, so I have a few choices here. I'm going to play Knight F6. So I'm indicating to my opponent, I potentially would like to play the move Bishop to G4, develop my bishop to this square. Now, very common from white is going to be to say no to this request. So what does that look like? That would look like H3 in that position by white. Now with bishop to F4, white's saying, you can do whatever you want. Play bishop G4 if you'd like. I will go queen to B3 and try to get counterplay on the queen side. I'm actually going to play a line you may have seen on this channel before. I think a couple years ago I played a game that got uploaded to my channel involving this G6 stuff. So I'm going to give this a go. I'm not certain if I will play this move bishop F5 yet. I'm going to go ahead and play bishop G7 first. Give my opponent an opportunity to play H3 if he'd like. He says, no thank you, I won't be doing that. And do I want to castle here? Okay, so I have a few options. I can go bishop F5 directly. And this move generally isn't quite as good when white hasn't spent a tempo on H3. I could go bishop G4 because my opponent hasn't played H3. But I sort of think that that might just transpose to some normal queen b3 lines, something like bishop g4, queen b3, I think queen c8 is normal, although my memory is a little foggy on this one. I do know queen d7 looks a bit awkward in view of knight e5 ideas. So I can do that, or I could castle. So the downside to castling is that now if I play bishop f5, I'll have already committed my king to g8, which can get a little bit hairy sometimes. There is a fourth option. I could play a6, some sort of slow move, but I get the feeling my opponent will just start taking over in the center if I do stuff like this. Don't know if I'm going to be so happy about that. I'm going to try this move bishop f5 just directly. Even though white hasn't played h3 yet, I think it still makes a lot of sense, and I don't necessarily want my king over here on g8. So play bishop f5, we'll get this structure. My opponent castles, and I think e6 is just very, very normal. Question is, do I want to play knight e4 first? I guess the reasoning behind it would be if bishop g5 is a threat. I'm not so certain it is, but I think knight e4 is fine to begin with. Expecting something like queen c2 now, maybe rook e1. A reasonably common idea for white is to move this knight and try to evict me with f3. And this is sort of why you want to induce this move h3 before going for this structure, because that obviously makes f3 a lot less desirable for white. You know, if you move both of these pawns off of their dark squares, then you're going to have real long-term problems defending these dark squares. But with this pawn in h2, I think white has a little bit more freedom to play this move f3. So it's part of the reason why you want to go for this line after white has played a move like h3. Okay, knight e5 is interesting. I finding myself very tempted to capture this piece. Also finding myself tempted to do some dumb stuff. Some very dumb stuff. Maybe it's not so dumb. So, okay, what's going on in this structure? Takes, I assume pawn takes. I don't think my opponent really wants to trade off these bishops. But then I can go queen c7. Okay, there's queen f4 check. I'll go king f8 or something, just sidestep it. And how are you dealing with this? Like, if you go f3, takes. Suppose that keeps all your stuff defended, right? I think that looks pretty reasonable to me. I'm going to go for captures. I'll ask my opponents what he means by this move, knight e5, so to speak. So it should be noted after queen a4. Okay, I mean, I can play queen d7 if I'm like a coward. And maybe I am a coward. But if I do go king f8 and then f3 happens after takes, you can't defend this pawn twice because your bishop has to take back. So let's say queen a4, king f8. I might be winning this pawn if not for knight f3. But knight f3 is probably a very, very decent move. So, in fact, yeah, my opponent just plays knight f3 and says, I don't care. Okay, now that pieces have been treated, I am actually going to go ahead and castle my king here. It's time. It's time to castle. I'm not as worried about getting mated over here anymore, especially after knight f3. The path is sort of blocked. Like, obviously, long term, this is something to be concerned with, but I think it'll take my opponent some time, and maybe I can reroute some of my pieces in the meanwhile. So I'm doing something risky this time in my game, which is I'm listening to music while I record. For those of you who watch my Twitch stream, you'll know that I have a bit of a nasty habit of singing along to some of these songs. And it's all well and good on my live Twitch stream, you know, the shit happens on Twitch, but somehow it feels a bit different if it's going to be immortalized on this website called YouTube. Okay, queen b6 attacks f2 and b2 at the same time. Rook e2 does defend both of those things, though, also at the same time. Good talk, everybody. Could try something like this. I think my opponent is fully intending to play queen to d4, though. There's also queen c2. Am I happy about my opponent playing rook to this square? I can sort of start doing some stuff, right? Another thought is b5, but after takes, rook b8, again, queen e2 here. But then after queen e2, now queen b6. And this is not a double attack. What am I? Who am I kidding? Who am I trying to fool? Could go the slow route, just try to prepare b5 somehow, but it feels a bit off. Kind of want to just shove a rook onto this c4 square. I'm going to start with this move, rook fc8. Maybe I'll play queen b6. Maybe I won't. I'll let him decide. I'm also inviting my opponent to play this move, queen to d4, because it's going to give me rook c4 with tempo, which I will be happy to do. Be very happy to do. Now it's up to my opponent. Yeah, I think queen a4 is potentially a step in the wrong direction by my opponent. Okay, now queen b6 essentially forces queen c2, or else white will lose a pawn. But queen c2 feels like more like where this queen belongs than the square it's on, to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm not certain why this queen is sitting on a4. So with that in mind, maybe I can do a bit better. Queen c5 or something doesn't quite feel right either. Again, I could just go slow. I think that is the path I choose in this world. We'll just play a6, b5. We'll get some space on the queen side. Queen on a4 also stops my opponent from playing a4 himself. Yeah, I'm really shit talking this queen a4 move. I'll check the game later. We'll see if it's good. It's gonna be funny when, you know, I've talked all this trash and then the engine's like, yeah, obviously queen a4, it's the best move. What are you talking about? Starting to feel like I shouldn't be worse in this game. Which I did some stuff wrong in the opening, I know for a fact, so So either I'm wrong about not being worse, or I'm wrong that it did something wrong in the opening, or white did something wrong. Those are the various options. Okay, white wants to go a4 following the move b5. I'm okay with that because I have rook b8 plans. And if you capture me, I'll take back with the rook and try and maintain my structure. I'm not super worried about knight d4 either because this pawn is always hanging. So the plan is a4, rook a b8, takes, and if queen c2, queen b8, I think touches a lot of sore spots in my opponent's position, right? Maybe queen b7 as well to defend a6. And queen b8 feels more dangerous because I keep this pressure here. I value that pressure. Definitely taking with the rook, not even a question. Okay, I did not expect queen a3. I thought queen c2 for sure. So our opponent played something we didn't expect. Time to reevaluate for a moment. Can go rook a8. Could also play rook b6, defending like this. Rook a8 doesn't quite feel right. I could also play queen b7, inviting queen takes a6. And my claim would be after queen a6, take, then c3 is under fire, as is f2. The danger is to my own king, but I think that danger is manageable. I think this is just a good idea. If you touch your b pawn, try to play b4. c3 is still in danger. Interesting. Only 3 minutes left, but should be enough time. Some sacrificial ideas as well. You try to defend. Rook a2 is possible, but I thought I could turn up the heat, so to speak. I also have bishop f8. Bishop f8 is winning the b2 pawn, one way or another. I think I do want to win the b2 pawn, one way or another. Just have to be a bit careful of allowing nasty things, right? That's the big downside to this little structure here is comes with a few weaknesses around the king, whether or not queens are on the board, right? You know, you can imagine a rook lands on a8, bishop lands on h6, and I resign. So just as long as that doesn't happen, we're cool. We're cool. Queen a6, I can also play rook takes b2. But no, I do want to take and play rook takes b2, because I would rather have the position with the rooks on b2 and a6 than the position after queen b7, rook b7, when f2 is defended and my opponent has time to solidify. Can also consider throwing in a bishop c5 move. And by consider it, I mean I just considered it, and it's a bad idea, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and take this and take b2 as plans. And this is the attack doble. Don't remember what the word attack is in Spanish. But whatever it is, doble it. Which I think is probably also not the verb form of double. Anyways. This pawn attacked. This pawn attacked. I invite you to make a move. I can play knight c3 without the fear of getting pinned because of knight e2 check. In fact, it's a bit difficult to find a spot for this rook with that in mind. Ooh, f4. Uh-oh. 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 Knight e2 check. A lot more dangerous than I first realized. I might lose this pawn because of this move, but you know what? It's a cool move, so we're gonna do it. And them's the rules. Move looks cool. we play it. I also don't know where this bishop goes. Maybe to d2. If you go to d2, maybe I come to c5 with this piece. And God only knows, right? God only knows at that point. Coming back to e4 or something. It's turning into some nonsense. But as time gets lower, that's when nonsense has the best chance of working. If you take here, I will take. Not so scared of the check anymore, because I will have murdered the dark squared bishop, which was the piece that was going to murder my king. Okay, this move comes with tempo. Could be a problem for me, that this move comes with tempo. Okay, we'll capture. Now if bishop takes, I'm going to play this move. I might be going down a piece here. I could give check instead, but this I don't think is getting the job done, right? Just knight blocks and sort of out of luck. So I'm going to try this instead. Keeps things a bit more complex. Yeah, bishop to this square. Okay, I can try capturing that. I can try bishop takes d4. I think I will try bishop d4, and I'll come back to attack e5. That was a bad move. Of the moves, that was bad. Okay. Now the fun. Nope. All right. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. How could this happen? All right, let's look at this game a little bit. All right, so g6, bishop g7. Okay, yeah, castles is the most normal. Bishop f5 has been played, but as I said, I don't think it's quite as good when white hasn't played this move h3 yet. So I think yeah, maybe castle's a bit more principled. I go bishop f5, takes. Knight e4, e6, knight e5. And I should take with the bishop. That's interesting. So I guess this is the advantage to not having castled yet, which I didn't make use of. You know, I played knight takes because I was planning to castle and I needed this bishop to defend my king. The engine's just like, yeah, take with the pawn, put this piece on g8, put this piece on h4, and go murder the guy. Could have been fun. Okay, I took with the knight instead. Went queen c7 and castled kingside. So yeah, white is a bit better here. And then, look, I'm a genius. Queen a4 gives away all the advantage. Okay, sometimes lucky. Okay, this all made a lot of sense, I thought. Okay, a b5. Okay, I liked a b5 better, but okay, I thought rook b5 made some sense. Okay, bishop f8 was just like winning. So just this idea without the trade of queens. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so queen a6, rook b2, knight c3. Okay, f4, cool move, also good move. And then, yeah, bishop c5 is just throwing it all away. And allows rook a8. And then here, yeah. Okay, I did have to try rook takes f3, bishop takes c5, and now rook c3, bishop d4. Okay, and I get to bully the bishop a little bit and bring my king in, and maybe I don't lose, I suppose, is the idea. Yeah, and then you guys saw the rest there. Oh man. He really just played knight c5. Oh my god. All right, well, that's your high-level rapid game for the day. Hopefully you guessed that result coming from a mile away. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you next time.